I've been asked to share with you a message on living a life of integrity in the marketplace. Living a life of integrity in the marketplace. I have expanded that a little bit. I'll be talking about developing integrity and a strong value system in the marketplace. Developing integrity and a strong value system in the marketplace. Your senior pastor introduced me as a senior pastor who happens to be the MD CEO of Nigeria's foremost development finance institution, the Bank of Industry. If he had taken time to read out my CV to you, if I say so myself, it's impressive. They will tell you I went to University of Ibadan. I have a bachelor's degree in economics as a USA scholar. I went to American Graduate School of International Management. I have a master's in international management. As a Rotary scholar, they will tell you I'm a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Bankers. I'm a fellow of Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers. I'm director of this, director of that, and so on and so on. So it's a very good CV. But usually when I want to start and give a talk like this, I always say that is the CV that the world wants you to know. And for many of us, the CV that they read out is the CV of how you have packaged yourself. The CV you don't get to read about is the one that made you who you are. If you're a good student of history, and you hear somebody did this, somebody did that, which is why some people love to read autobiographies. Because you will now read some of the things that you will not know about. So I want to start the sermon by telling you about the CV that you don't know. Because the CV that you know is the perfect CV of my educational background, of how God has helped me, and how I have gotten to where I have gotten to. So who am I? I was born in Ibadan about 62 years ago. My father was a senior civil servant. He was the chief postmaster. Then, talking about 65, 70 years ago, when you still had the white men here. So he was a big man. The big quarters that they gave him. He didn't stay in the quarters. He had built his own house. He built a house in Ibadan, built a one in Ijebode. But he had a problem. He was looking for a boy. He wanted a boy very badly. So he kept on marrying different wives to get a boy. By the time he married my mother, she was number 5. And she was the youngest wife. Because the other women produced girls. And this man was doing fairly well. He wanted a boy. By the time my mother had me, she had waited herself about 14 years. So she had me in the 14th year of her marriage. My father was very happy. Unfortunately, by the time he had me, he was an old man. He was 61 years old. Because he was looking for a boy so badly, and he has now found a boy, nobody should touch this boy. The boy was practically spoiled. I I was a spoilt boy. They told me I didn't used to greet anybody because you cannot touch daddy's boy. I used to sleep on my daddy's stomach, in the bedroom. It's not, this boy cannot stay somewhere else. This boy must stay on the same bed as myself. So when he's sleeping, he will put me on the stomach, and that's how I will sleep. Unfortunately for me, when my father was 65 years old, he died. I was only 4 years old. And my life changed. Because the big man who was doing very well, who had these properties, who loved this boy, died. Unfortunately, his brothers were not as fortunate, as blessed as he was. So they had to take me from Ibadan. They brought me down to Lagos to stay with another uncle. This uncle of mine was staying in one-room apartment in Omididun Street in Lagos. Some of you know Omididun Street is downtown Lagos. My uncle had a room and a parlor. So if he had a room and a parlor, I couldn't sleep on the bed. I slept on the mat. So I went from the bed on my father's stomach to sleeping on the mat. I was getting ready to go to school. My uncle couldn't afford private school. So he enrolled me in a public school in downtown Lagos called St. John's School, Aroloya. Some of you are traders, we know Aroloya. So I went to school, carried my bag and trekked to school. So my father died, the story had changed. Why am I telling you this story? Because sometimes when we come to preach like this, and they tell you that the MD of Bank of Industry is here, you will think that all of us were born in Ikoyi. You will think that the story that you are about to hear does not concern you because you are on these different social levels. Some of you grew up in homes better than the home I grew up in. Some of your children are attending private schools. I trekked to school in my brown khaki. If you knew Omididun Street in Lagos, adjoining area of Omididun is Amuto. Amuto is just down the road from Omididun. That was the place we used to play. What kind of people play in Amuto? People that take drugs. What type of people live on Omididun? Down the road, prostitutes. They had different places. What were the things the boys used to love to do? Oh, you prayed that you had enough money to go and pay them money to do Eyo when they are doing Eyo. Why? So all the girls that said no to you could beat them on that day. Those were the ambitions that we had. Those were the things the boys did. I'm trying to let you know my background. That was where I grew up in. You had Amuto. You had Onola. Okekpokpo. It's at downtown Lagos. Till now, they are still downtown Lagos. Oh, the big boys in those days. You hear things like Omopupa, Boboyo. Those were the thugs. They fought with knives. That was the area I grew up in. As I was growing up, my mother came to me one day. She said, look, you don't have peers to play with. So I'm thinking of, even though I would like to keep you to myself, but I want you to have education, good education. So I have looked around some of the uncles that you have, those that have children about your age. I would like you to tell me which of the homes you want me to take you to so they can help you grow up with their own children, because you wanted the best for me. So she gave me two options, two homes. One uncle of mine who was very rich used to give them, I think, a shilling a day for the children. That was a lot of money in those days. You eat and you still have change. And that uncle loved me because I was his senior brother's son that they had all been waiting for. So that is one option. I've spoken to him. He would like to have you. Then the other one, another uncle of mine, he had boys about my age. His own boys went to private school, St. Mary's Convent. I used to enjoy the way their uniforms looked. They were very smart. They spoke good English. No children, they will correct my English. And then they had toys. When my mother used to take me to that house visiting, they'd be playing with toys. Somebody went to Australia and came back with toys for them. Those toys, in those days, battery operated, fire engines. They will hit the wall, they will come back. When my mother would say it's time to go home, I would still be playing with the toys because we didn't have toys. So when she gave me the option of which house I wanted to be, guess what? I went for the toys. The child wants to. I was thinking of the house where I will go to and play with the toys forever. So I chose the house of the other uncle with boys my age with toys. I didn't know it was a wrong choice. The man was too strict. At 5 o'clock in the morning, the bell will go off. It was time for prayer. We will read English Bible. We will read verse by verse. Each person will read one verse. If you made a mistake, he will cane you because we will have corrected you. In the evening, around 7:30, 8 o'clock, the bell will go off again. Time for prayer. Yoruba Bible. You will read verse by verse. You read Yoruba Bible, you read Atoka. In the morning you read English Bible and maybe daily bread. Very strict man. If you made mistake, he used the cane generously. So I told my mother I made a mistake. I would like to pot. She went and told the man. The man said, not on your life. This boy has entered this house. I will make sure I make a man out of him. He's not going anywhere. In fact, for complaining, I will reduce the time he spends with you on holidays. And I used to look forward to holidays with my mother. I said, look, you have spoiled this boy. Anyway, that was when my life began to change. So it doesn't matter how poor you are, what type of home you are brought up, is the type of discipline and the teachings that you have. So the fear of God, was built into us right from a very early age, from the house. That was the family that changed my life. Because in that family, they feared God. And by the way, his own house was not very far. His house was number 30, Binuyo. Binuyo is just down the road from Onola. But in his own house, even though from the house where we were staying, we could see Onola, we could not go down to go and play in Onola. Not on your life. Your wife was a teacher. We went to school in the morning. We came back in the afternoon. She would give us extra lessons. That was when character was being built up. Unfortunately for me, when I was 12 years old, my mother died. And then I became like a rascal. I was very unhappy. The only friend I had who would speak to me as an adult, who told me everything, had died. I was in secondary school, maybe around Form 2, when she died. I became very playful. Education was not important, I just did what I could do. I managed to pass the classes. In those days, anyway, they were trying to push all the students. I made it to Form 5 and sat for WAEC. When the results came out, I made P7 in 7 subjects. You know what they call P7? They have changed the things now. The thing will start from A1. To I think to F9. So it is, by the time you get to P7 is like you are not going, you are not coming. You have P7, P8, F9. P7, P8, and F9, basically, they are the same. Because then, I had become very rascally. I went to school in Ijebu. That was the school my uncle sent me and his last son. Because that was the school he went, Ijebu Grammar School. In that school, we put on uniform and knicker. But our friends who were in Lagos, who went to FSS, who were they were repeating, something like that, they put on jeans. They were the people who were in town. So we wanted to come to Lagos and be in town too. So my uncle called me and his son, the last son, said, the two of you have failed. He also failed. He said, congratulations. I said, what are your plans now? He said, we want to go and repeat in FSS in Lagos. My uncle said, not on your life. He said, Ijebu, where you failed, I will send you back there, the two of you. The junior boys will meet you in class, and they will learn from you how not to behave. So that is where you are going to go. So he sent us back to Ijebu. And for the first time in my life, something said to me, don't allow this man to disgrace you. It occurred to me I could be better than I was. Occurred to me that I could change my life. So I said to myself, my uncle wants to disgrace me. I will not be disgraced. So right from day one, as I went back to go and repeat, I became a changed person. I went back with determination to show this uncle of mine that I was not going to be disgraced. When we had our mock exam, I came first. This is the person that failed. I came first in the whole school, 2 of us. When we sat for WAEC to repeat, I had the best result, a grade 13. I had A's in different subjects. From that time, you cannot begin to read my CV, because that is the CV that you see. But that was the CV that you didn't see that I told you. It was the trauma, the problems, and the fact that was when my life changed. When I went back to face my failure. And I said to myself, I will not be a failure. From there, I went to Federal Government College, Lagos, for my A-levels. I had a federal government scholarship. I was the deputy head boy. I was furniture prefect. From there, I went to University of Ibadan as a USC scholar. From there, I went to the US as a Rotary scholar. Those are the things you read in the CV. But I wanted to give you some background. Because I know in church this morning, there are people that live around Amuto. There are people that live In downtown Ikoyi, maybe where you are an illegal occupant. Any time from now, they can drive you away. Sometimes your mother does not even know where school fees will come from. People tell me I don't understand. When I tell them my story, I say I do understand where you are coming from. So I'm talking to everybody. It is not when I went to London, America, that is important. It is what made me to go. So it doesn't matter where you are starting from or who your parents are. I didn't have parents. Many of you who are here this morning have your parents. They're still struggling to help you. Say life is tough for you. Life couldn't have been tougher for a 5-year-old boy that went from sleeping on his father's stomach to sleeping on the mat. My father had a car over 50 years ago. If he was alive when I was going to school, there was no way I would track to school. There was no way I would go to a public school. But that is how God has planned my life. So I don't know how God has planned your own life. I don't know where you are starting from. But I want you to know that we serve a God for whom nothing shall be impossible. So this morning, I'm talking to you as I'm talking to my younger ones, family members. I'm talking to people who are asking God, how come this is the home that I came from? When I look back now in life, all of the experiences I had gone through, they made me who I am. You'll be a bit empathetic because you know where the poor people are coming from. You'll be a bit humble, knowing that if God has not helped you, you will not be where you are. You will not be boastful. Because I look back, some of my friends in Amuto are dead. Either because they smoke marijuana, they went to armed robbery, they fought with knife, they killed themselves, they are just gone. The fact that I'm alive and I'm who I am is by His grace. The fact that you are alive and you are who you are is by His grace. So now that you have caught up on my CV, because they won't tell you that other one. No. Because the CVs that we do, they will normally start from university. And say he has BSc in so and so. He has masters in so and so. You don't even put primary school. Because there's no space. But those are the things. Those are the things that made you who you are. Maybe you are here and you come from a dysfunctional home. Say, it's my father. He had 2 wives. My father had 5. He said they didn't have enough money. My mother was a petty trader. He didn't have much. But she wanted me to be well educated. She gave me up. Even though she wanted me to stay with her. He said, look, I would have loved you to stay with me. I waited so long to have you. But I don't want you to be here. She had a vision. Are you a mother here this morning? Have vision for your children. Think about how you can make your children to be better than yourself. Make sacrifices for them that will make them be in a better place tomorrow. That was what my mother did. She didn't even have the money. She had to go and beg some other uncles. The uncle I grew up with had 8 children. We, of course, we slept on the mats. But she saw something that this man wanted to train the children properly. The wife was a prayer warrior. All the children she trained turned out well. So my character was developed in my uncle's house. Like I said, a lover of God. There were two favorite scriptures that the man had when we were growing up. One was Proverbs 22 verse 1. Proverbs 22 verse 1. He used to drum that into our ears. It says, a good name is rather to be chosen than great riches, and loving favor rather than silver and gold. Right from the time we were young, he told us, look, the best thing you can have is a good name. Don't take what does not belong to you. He tells us the name that you have was given to you. If people before you had messed up that name, you will not be happy bearing that name. So keep that name. This scripture, every time, he will repeat this scripture to us. I want you also to keep that scripture. Another scripture that it tells us all the time is Proverbs 29 verse 1. Proverbs 29 verse 1. It says, he that been often reproved, hardeneth his neck, shall suddenly be destroyed, and that without remedy. Some of you here are not Yorubas. The man used to tell us this in Yoruba Bible. The way it sounds in Yoruba is different. There are some things, it's not the same thing as English and vernacular. He loves to tell us this in Yoruba. Say, we are correcting you. You don't want to take correction. You want to die. So he tells us, correction is good for you. Say, what I'm doing is because I want you to become better people tomorrow. Another favorite saying of my uncle is, remember the child of who you are. Also in Yoruba. Rántí ọmọ ẹni tí ìwọ ń ṣe. Remember where you come from. Remember who your parents are. Don't be like any other person. You are different. Remember, don't join your friends to just do what they are doing, because they might not know who they are. But you must always remember who you are. Those are backgrounds I'm just giving you. We're talking of integrity this morning. Integrity is the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. The quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. Integrity is following your moral or ethical convictions and doing the right thing in all circumstances, even if no one is watching you. That's the key word. Even if no one is watching you. Integrity is not what you do because people are going to see you. Even when they're not there. It's inbuilt in you that even when people are not watching you, you are doing the right thing. That's integrity. Value system. The principles of right and wrong. The principles of right and wrong that are accepted by an individual or a social group. Value system. The system of established values, norms, or goals existing in a society. Integrity and value system, the two are related. What are your beliefs as an individual? Is it a matter of just do it? Just do it. It doesn't matter how you make money. Let's just make money. Who are your friends The friends that you have, they will influence you. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 33. 1 Corinthians 15, 33. Bible says, be not deceived. Evil communications corrupt good manners. Somebody will say, show me who your friends are, and I will tell you who you are. If you have 4 friends, and all your 4 friends have man friends, I don't have to ask whether you have or not. If you don't have none, you are going to have. Maybe you have just joined them. If all your 3 buddies love to smoke, I don't have to ask you. It's a matter of time you will join them. They love to drink, you will drink also. Because after some time, what they are doing becomes normal to you. The first time that it happened, because we have just joined them, it will shock you. Second time, third time, by the time you are doing 5, 6, 7 times, you've already joined them. Integrity will cost you. Your integrity will be tested. Don't be deceived. Sometimes your promotion will be delayed because you refuse to sleep with your boss. When you see all your friends who have been promoted very quickly, and you wonder why you're not getting your own promotion, you say, well, we've been telling you have not come to us now. You say, well, we have to do what we have to do. So if you don't do what they are doing, you might not be promoted. It might be delayed. But your integrity will pay off in the long run. Because if a few years later on, 1 or 2 of your friends come and say, look, we didn't know, and they said that we have gotten AIDS, you don't have to worry about it. Because the people that they've been going to have been done to everybody. In that process, they have caught other things. Because Satan, people will say, when you want to dine with Satan, dine with a long spoon. I will say, that's a lie. Don't dine with Satan. Satan has a long hand. The hands of Satan are longer than your spoon. They are longer than your spoon. And Satan has been around for thousands of years. You think you can outsmart him? You can't outsmart him. You can't. So sometimes integrity will cost you. But that is in the short term, because integrity will pay off for you in the long run. Sometimes your confirmation is delayed because you have not met your deposit target. Maybe you work in a bank. Why have you not met it? All the other ladies who were your colleagues, they have gone to get deposit. But they said to you, you know what we did now to get our own. If you want to get your own, we can help you. Because we are not doing that, money is not coming in. Your job is on the line. There is pressure because you have not delivered. What do you do when the customs are holding your goods because you have not paid the required bribe? What about working in a company where they ask you to file false claims? There was a brother who was working in a company. And what did they recruit them to do? They brought in expired orange juice from outside Nigeria, and they put them in a room. A few of them, they recruited them. Their job is to wipe away the old expiry date and put the new one. And you say, a man has to do what a man has to do. At least they are paying me. You have forgotten that somebody is going to drink that orange juice. Sometimes it might be your senior brother who is in another city. That is how life is. If you say, well, it doesn't matter, who's taking orange? I don't take orange juice. It might be your uncle. The only uncle in your family who is helping all of you might be the one that is going to take the orange juice. Because you are just thinking of yourself. You work in the hospital. They write reports. They've not done tests. Many years ago, I was not feeling well. My wife is a medical doctor. My brother is a medical doctor. He has a clinic. I went to my brother's hospital. Said you go and do tests for me. So they did tests and brought the result. My brother laughed. Said, if this is your result, you ought to have been dead by now. He said, I don't believe this. So he was telling my wife, so we know what they're going to do. We take another blood sample. So they took blood again. He put the blood sample in two different test tubes and put two different names on them and sent it back to the same lab. He didn't put my name this time around. Two names of two different, as if they were two different samples from his hospital. When the result came, the two samples had different results. Say, I told you. So in that lab, they were not doing any test at all. The lab assistant will just write what he wants to write. So there are people who are being treated for what is not even their problem. And of course, one of those drugs have side effects. Say, I told you. I told you. We, the church, we built church in Ikoyi. We gave somebody a contract to do soil test for us. Soil test. That is what is going to determine the depth of the piling and how strong and the structure you need to put there. They gave us soil test. But because I had said to myself that I would not give the contract for the church to Nigerian company, I gave it to Israelis. Olive Tree in Ikoyi. The builders were Israelis. The piling was done by a Dutch company. The only one I gave to a Nigerian company, that was major, was soil test. The Dutch company went there to go and pile. They were piling. This thing is not matching up with this soil test too. The MD of the company, white man, on his own, now commissioned another soil test. He was now convinced that the soil test of the church was fake. He called me for a meeting. He said, Pastor, this soil test that you have, who did it? I told him the company. He said the soil test is not correct. He said, I have told my people to do another soil test. This is what they found. He said, Pastor, let me tell you. This soil test that they gave us said you should do piling of 18 meters. 18 meters piling in that place. He said it will cost $1 million. He said, but the soil test that we did shows that the land of your church is very firm, around 12 meters. He said, what I'm going to do, I will do a weight test. I will put weight to see whether the church can be carried on 12 meters. He said, if the weight of the church can be carried on 12 meters, our company will refund money to you because you've overpaid us to do piling beyond what you should do. They did the test. Said 12 meters can carry the church. The man refunded $5 million. Now, we will have built the church on faulty soil test. That is why you see some buildings collapsing. So these people don't even have fear of God. We called the man. Said your people give us fake test. Say they have done it again. They have done it again. It's not the first time. And you still have them in your employment, collecting money to do fake for soil test, even for church. That's the country that we are in. And everyone is pointing out to the other person as a bad man. Many years ago, I went to VGC. Somebody turned 40 years old. A friend of mine. So I went to greet the person. When I got there, the wife said, please come. The men are not sitting. They're not Muslims, but just that in that place, the men went to another place, drinking and having fun. So he said, don't stay here. We are the women here. When I looked at them, they're all women. He said, come and join your friends there. I went there. The friend introduced me. Said, Mr. Pitan has just joined us. Mr. Pitan is executive director of a bank. The man said, welcome. So you are a banker. You're a senior banker. You people are crooks. I said, we are crooks. Yes. He said, you people, don't you know? Don't you people travel to London? Don't travel overseas? You are nuisances. You will carry bullion van around Lagos, making noise. Is that what they do in London? You just pollute the place with noise. And that one said, you people, you have turned our wives and daughters into prostitutes. You just give them impossible targets to go and look for money. If you don't have pity, you don't have wives, you don't have daughters, why this kind of, once they don't mind them, they are round trippers. You buy money from Central Bank of Nigeria at a fixed rate, you add money to it, you make it. You are economic saboteurs. And now one said, these people are vultures. Vultures. You charge interest rate 30% per annum. 30%. What are we going to do as business? That we pay you 30% and still make profit. Don't you fear God? My friend said, this man has just come. Let him. I said, no. They are the problem of Nigeria. So, okay, fine. Do you have a defense? I said, I have no defense. I said, I agree with them that the bankers are the problems of Nigeria. So, by the way, can each one of you tell me what to do? They began to tell me. The one that I said he was a lecturer, I said, if we are not problem of Nigeria, everybody that comes for lectures must buy your handout or they will not pass. The girls in your class are part of your fringe benefits. So you are not Nigerians' problem. I began to pick them one by one. Everybody kept quiet. Said all of us, we're all Nigerians' problem. Doctor that will do operation that they should not do. It's not Nigeria's problem. The businessman that goes to China to go and import fake drugs into Nigeria, it's not Nigeria's problem. The politician that is causing us problem, it's not Nigeria's problem. But the politician is blaming the bankers. The bankers are blaming the pastors. The pastors are blaming, everybody is blaming each person. Nobody is taking responsibility for their own part of the problem. That's why we're in problem. Honesty is the best business policy. There are a few things I will tell you. To have integrity and a strong value system, like I said, it will cost you, but it will begin to work for you. You have to conquer the enemy within. You have to develop your character and be disciplined. That is why having a value system that fears God is important. To get to the top is easier than staying at the top. Did you get that? To get to the top is easier than staying at the top. Let me tell you a few personal things in business, talking of integrity. After I came back from the US, I joined Citibank. So I had a good job. But I had always wanted to do business. So I told my wife, I was newly married then, I said, look, one day I will come back from the office and tell you I have resigned. Say, please don't do that too. Say, I want to do business. One day, just about 3 years after our marriage, after the wedding, I came back one day and told her I have resigned. I said, prepare for hard times because I want to do business. She had no choice. I had resigned. I set up a finance house to be doing export business. I used to buy cocoa beans from Kure, from Ondo, different places. We used to export them outside the country. I loved exports. I loved that venture. The business was doing very well until we got married in 1990. So this problem was around 1992. I remember one day I asked my wife, I said, look, which bank should we open account? When I left she said, I like the name Zenith. I said, Zenith. I don't have any friend in Zenith. These days, I was a banker myself. You have to know somebody there. Said she just likes the name Zenith. I said, really? I said, okay, fine. I now remember there was one young man who was working with me at the bank I was working. The young man has resigned and joined Zenith. So I went to meet him. I said, we want to open an account. He said, very good. We are looking for customers. So we opened an account with Zenith. That's around 1992. After a few months, I went to see my young friend. Said, we would like to apply for a loan. Said, how much? Said, 2.5 million naira. 2.5 million naira in 1992. was a lot of money. He said, it's too much money. Oh, God, it's too much money. He said, maybe you'll be able to get about 1 million. I said, no problem. Anyway, this is our application. So he put it in. He went to credit committee meeting. Jim Ovia was the MD. They spoke about it. Yeah, these people, it's a new company. We can't give them. After they finished, Jim overruled them. He said, I like that young man. That was me. He said, give him. So they gave us a loan for 2.5 million. We kept on doing our business. After some time, I came back again to my friend. I said, we want to increase our facility. He said, to how much? He said, 5 million naira. He laughed. 5 million? This one, Jim will not approve it. They went again to credit committee. They discussed the matter up and down. Jim said that man is a good man. He approved it. So the line of credit for my company in 1992 in Zenith was 5 million. We kept on doing business again. Business was good. I came back again to my friend. I said, we want to increase it. He said to Amma, he said 7.5 million. Do you know what 7.5 million naira was in 1992? They went again to the credit committee meeting. The MD overruled them and approved it. So my line of credit in Zenith was 7.5 million in 1992. We were doing good business. Until 1993, when there was crisis in the country, about Abiola becoming president, not becoming president, people were afraid that Nigeria was going to break up. People from the east were going back. People from the north were going back. People were withdrawing money. So overnight, there was a run on finance houses. And that was when the problem hit my own company. We were calling back the money we gave out to other companies. They couldn't pay us back. We were in big trouble. In 1992 or 1993, I think my company was owing close to 80 million naira. 80 million naira in 1992. I was a young man. I said to myself, there is no way I will come out of this trouble. This trouble is going to keep on. And then my turnover in Zenith, that was very good before. There was no more turnover. That was when the MD of Zenith now called my friend. Said, this is your friend, we gave so much money. I cannot see activity in his account anymore. Please go and collect our money. So the young man came to me. Said, please, pay our money. I said, we have no money. Said, if we don't pay this money, they are going to fire me. How am I going to get 7.5 million to pay Zenith? I told him, don't worry. People who are owing us will bring money. Money was not coming in. They put pressure on this guy. Go and talk to your friend. Now he's my friend. Before, the whole bank was giving me money. But when trouble came, it was the man that opened the account that they were after. He came and said, look, my career will just finish. Interestingly, my lawyer at that time was your pastor's wife, Mr. Digbomire. So one day, at that time, our first house, because we were doing good business, we were about to finish our first house. We were building a house in VGC. The house was nearing completion. It was a few weeks before completion. That was our biggest asset. I said to myself, this young man is not even Yoruba, who has gone out of his way to help me to do this one. They are going to fire him. And we are going to have a big house we are going to be living in. So I called my lawyer, your pastor's wife. I said, look, I'm going to give this house to Zenith. I said, prepare documents for them. He said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to give them the house. At that time, the house was valued at about 9 million naira. We have not slept in that house for one day. It was nearing completion. So she prepared documents to transfer it to Zenith. So one day I went to Zenith. Documents already prepared. My friend was saying, what is the... I said, I have come to pay your money. Say, how? I said, I'm going to transfer my house to you. You can go and value it. The house is worth 9 million naira. I'm owing you 7.5. Give me my change. The guy went inside to legal department. They thought it was fake. Usually when you are owing bank, they are the one trying to chase you to look for property that they're going to get from you. Now somebody has walked in and they said it's not possible. They went and told the MD. They said, look, go and check whether the thing is true. They said it is true. The property belongs to him. The documents are okay. It is 9 million. The man said, okay, fine. Don't let us cheat him. If he's going to give us a house of 9 million, pay him his change. They took the house and gave me 1.4 million naira change. After taking all the allowance, I walked out of the bank, fully paid what I was owing them. And the problem still continued in other fronts. We couldn't move into that house. It took us 8 years later to build another house in VGC because the problem persisted for about 7 years. So we stayed as tenants somewhere else, gave up our own house, and trying to rebuild ourselves. 8 years later was when we were able to build the house we have in VGC. But fast forward, about 25 years later, after I have done that, I was announced as MD CEO of Bank of Industry. When I resumed, the acting MD said he wanted to take me around, and let me meet some of the people who were helping the bank and the people I needed to know, central bank governor, all of this and everything. So he's been taking me around. So we went to Abuja. And then it was his turn to introduce me to the central bank governor. So we went and we met him. He said to him, this is our new MD, Mr. Kayode Pitan, and everything. That one listened to him. After he's finished, he said, MD, please meet the CBN governor. The CBN governor laughed, jumped at me, and hugged me. The CBN governor was the young man I built out 25 years ago. He was the one that helped me to open an account in Zenith Bank. He was the one Jimove was going to fire. He was the one I sold my house to Bill. And 25 years later, you are introducing me to him. He said, don't worry, he's my brother. Some of the things that we enjoy today as Bank of Industry, as assistance from Central Bank, is because the man that is there knows me very well. When they say, we should not give you IDs, he said, I know the man, he has integrity. I don't have to preach it to him. He has experienced it practically. I didn't know the man will become Central Bank governor. His career could have been terminated. I sold my house and stayed in the rented place for 8 years to save his own career. So sometimes when you do what is right, you don't know when you're going to get the benefit. For some people at that time, I was a stupid person. Why should you sell your house? If business is bad, you explain to them. There are lawyers who will tell you, we can go to court on your behalf. We will keep this case in court. If I had done that, maybe they would have fired the man. Maybe eventually in court, we will agree how we are going to settle it. I will pay part of it. But he is now a destiny helper to me. I will have lost that one, and I will not even know what I have lost. Some of you, the decisions that you take, you don't know how they are going to affect you in future. Am I communicating? There are some decisions, they are not popular. They are painful, but it's the right thing to do. It cost me a house. But because of my background too, the house was not as important to me as my name. That was why I could walk away. Interestingly, the lawyer of Zenith then, who didn't even believe that the thing was correct. One day, I become pastor. I was in Ikoyi, and I saw somebody in the gallery who came to church. It was the lawyer. He has joined my church. Do you think anybody has to preach to him that he has a good pastor? No. Because they have dealt with me. They have dealt with me. Some years ago, I was in London to do business. I applied for a loan. And usually, banks will do due diligence. You know, they will tell you to bring all your statements and everything. So I did that. I sent to the bank. And then the account officer called me and said, Pastor, there's a problem. I said, problem? I said, what's the problem? He said, as they were going through your account and they were checking it, he said somebody made a comment that they saw that some credits were coming to your account. And those credits were coming from RCCG, Oratory Parish. That they know that you used to be the pastor there. And that they know that you are a part-time pastor. That Redeem does not pay their pastors. That they should find out from me what those transfers were for. Now, this is not a church. A private bank. Where I'm trying to get facility. Somebody there who's Redeem member said, what are they trying to check? Your integrity. If this pastor has been stealing money from his church, this is not the type of person we should be giving money to. So a bank is asking me in London to explain how come my parish was transferring money to my account. That was the query. Can you believe that? So I said, so that's a problem. I said, that's not a problem. I told the lady, I said, look, I used to be the pastor in that parish. They have transferred me years ago to another parish in Aja. I'm now in Aja. It's called RCCG, Tabernacle of David. I said, after I left that parish, the current vice president, they transferred him there. Prophet Shibajo. I said, me in Nigeria, I do property business. I do short let in Ikoyi. It was the new pastor who asked them that he knows that Pastor Pitan has short let apartments that are reasonably priced. How come you are not patronizing him? And they told him, while he was pastor here, he did not allow us to use his place. Say, but the man has left here now. Say, okay, fine. Let us begin to patronize him. Say, so they should go and check when I left that place and when the money was coming in. That is the new people who are using my business for that. That was how I solved that problem. But by adventure, I was still in that parish and stealing money. People in Nigeria will not catch me. People in London will catch you. And the business I was doing in London was not church business. But somebody said, look, I want to check this man out. If this man is stealing money from his church, then we should not be dealing with him. That is why integrity is important. Because you don't know where it's going to show up. In the most unlikely places. Most unlikely places. We were in London, another occasion with my wife. Normally we look for a place to stay. Like a guest house or something like that, where we can just be there. And we were about to enter the lift. And one young lady greeted me. There were two of them. I was with my good afternoon, Pastor. I greeted her. I didn't know the person. He said, we know you, Pastor, and everything. Are you here for the Festival of Light? I said, no. Well, I'm just here, to spend some few days. He greeted me, and they went away. If you ask me, I will say, I have never met them in my life. I was telling my wife, if I came here with a girlfriend, that's how they're going to catch me. People had never thought, they just greeted me casually. Good afternoon, Pastor. Because you are here, you're also one person. Look at this room now. How many of you are looking at me? When I leave here, many of you I will not even know. But when you see me somewhere, say, that was the man that came to our church. Integrity is doing what is right, even when people are not there to see it. And believe me, integrity pays. Sometimes it's 1 year, sometimes 2 years, sometimes 10 years, but it pays. It pays. It pays. Think people don't know you? People know you. You can fool some people some of the time. You cannot fool all the people all the time. No. No, you cannot. No matter how smart you are. No matter how smart you are. Let me close with this story. I said it's a family meeting. There was this story about a black CEO of one of Fortune 500 companies in the US. Now, Fortune is a worldwide magazine, financial magazine. They say they say, when they say Fortune 500, these are the biggest companies in the world. Fortune 500 means these are the biggest ones. So this guy was a black guy. One of the very few black people on the list of 500 biggest companies in the US. This man resigned about a year ago. Why did he resign? He resigned for what he call personal reasons. This black guy was a successful black man and a very rare, when I say rare, very rare partner in one of the most prestigious investment banks in the US. To get to work for an investment bank in the US, you have to be very, very smart. But to work for one of the prestigious ones, you are more than high IQ. Now to be a partner in an investment bank, prestigious one, you must be super, super bright. This particular investment firm that he was working with, they went public. It's one of the public banks in the US. When they went public, this black guy I was talking about, his own share, was $100 million profit. The day they went public, he made $100 million, apart from what he makes. The question is, why did this black man resign? It was because he was being investigated. Because one woman had made allegation against him that he lured her into an unwanted romantic relationship about 10 years ago. These are very serious things for people who are at the top. This guy was a black man. This woman was a white woman. He said this man lured him into an unwanted relationship over 10 years ago. She was a married white woman. So this black man lured him into a relationship. How did it happen? This black man led a double life. He was a banker Monday to Friday. On Saturday, he was a photographer. So on Saturday, this man had his own studio, this banker, and he does nice photographs. But he has a preference. He loves to photograph women naked. So he will say, that he wants to make them models, that they should come. He will take their photographs, and they'll be naked. It was one of the women that he was taking the photographs that he lured into a relationship and had an affair with her, and the husband found out, and the woman, in retaliation, decided to make the case open, and she was fighting this black man for 10 years. When he knew that they were about to catch up with him, he resigned. Now, you will say, Pastor, why did you have interest in this black man? You know why I have interest? He was a Nigerian. The black man we're talking about here was not only a Nigerian, he was born in Ibadan. Yoruba man. Black man, Nigerian. Who made it this high? Who was the mother of this black man? House help. So this black man that made it this high was the son of a house help in Ibadan. They were working for an American couple. So the house help delivered this baby boy. The boy became a brilliant boy. The master and the madam took interest in him. They put him in a private school. This boy became so brilliant, he went to Harvard. They paid his fees. When he came out, he was so brilliant, he was recruited by one of the most prestigious investment banks. He became a partner. What brought him down? Character. The mother was a house help. The height, he never thought he could reach in life. That was where because the people they worked for were diplomats. So they had connections. So he just trained this boy of the son of the house help as if he was their son. Best schools. He was brilliant. He did very well. In his job, he was not found guilty of his job. It was his character that brought him down. He was a Nigerian, one of the very few blacks. You get to that stage, they don't even call you Nigerian. They say, one of the black people. He was representing the black race in Fortune 500. He resigned last year. I'm not mentioning names. If you go to internet and you begin to check, you will see. This guy was a Nigerian, born in Ibadan by a house help. That's what brought him down. Am I communicating? That was why I told you. It's easier to get to the top than to stay at the top. Because at the top, many things are available to you. You have money. You have prestige. You have access. Even when you are not looking for the women, they are looking for you. When you are looking for a contract, they are looking for you. They will bring deals to you. So if you don't have character, you will fall. You will fall. On WhatsApp, I didn't tell my wife this. She will hear for the first time. About 2 weeks ago, I kept on getting this message from this lady. Praying for me every day. So I asked her, what can I do for you? Said she was looking for a job. Said, send your CV to our HR department. They will look at it and see what you are going to do. Whether you can do it or not. She was even a lawyer. She put on her gown and everything. Said, I just want to be your friend. I'm not looking for a friend. Then she began to confess that, for men, that's how they've been getting everything. So they're everywhere. Internet, WhatsApp, they get your number from everywhere. They will call you. If you don't have discipline, you will fall. You say they are all ugly. No, they're not all ugly. Not all ugly. Satan of yesterday used to be ugly. Satan of today, they are very fine. Am I communicating? When Joseph ran away, he didn't say Mrs. Potiphar was not fine, no. Because Yorubas have a saying that what you are not going to eat, don't smell it. Because it is too near to your mouth. The more you are smelling it, you will not know when it's going to end up in your mouth. That was why Joseph ran away. And that's what the Bible tells us to do. There are some things. You run away. If you say you are going to sit down there and pray, pray. Where are you going to pray? There are some things you don't need prayer, so it is to run away. You need character. You need to do what is right when others are not there. And believe me, it starts from the mind. If you don't have God and the fear of God, the spirit, and your flesh are always in contention. And if God does not help you, the flesh will overtake the spirit. But I'm praying that when the temptation comes, you will not fall. You will not fail. The grace to live a life of integrity, to do what is right, and to trust God to take care of you. That grace God will grant unto you in the mighty name of Jesus. I'm praying for you that when next I hear concerning you, God will have taken you to the very top in the mighty name of Jesus.